The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to today's webinar, 5 Best Practices for Evaluating and Adopting Best Practices for Facilities. I'm Ann Cosgrove, the Editor-in-Chief of Facility Executive Magazine, and this webinar today is presented by ARC Document Solutions. Now, before we get started, I would like to cover a few housekeeping items. Please note the control panel on your screen. This is where you can submit questions in the question box contained in that panel. Please send your questions in at any time, and they will be addressed by the speakers after the presentation. Also, please note the orange arrow on the left side of your control panel. Clicking on that will either expand or collapse the panel, so please be sure that it is expanded so you can access the question box. Also, if at any time you experience a technical difficulty or have another type of question, please send a message to us in that question section, and someone will answer you privately. Also, if you are interested in continuing education credits, you'll receive a certificate of attendance in an email from Facility Executive after this webinar. You can report this to your association for continuing education credits. Now I'd like to introduce your two speakers today, David Trask and Todd Moore. David Trask is National Director, Facility Solutions with ARC. He has presented at numerous events across North America. Those include IFMA, ASHI, AIM, Facilities Expo, Construct Canada, and others. And he has a focus on helping organizations better manage their building information. In his work, David shares best practices for managing facilities in healthcare, municipalities, universities, government, and other sectors, while providing key takeaways that can be put into practice. You'll hear some of those today. Todd Moore is a National Director for Facility Solutions at ARC as well. He advises and educates facilities professionals across the education, healthcare, manufacturing, and government sectors on how technology can transform their operations. He's a frequent presenter at both national and regional events with trade organizations such as IFMA, ASHI, NEHES, and others. You'll also hear some insights from him today. So we're just going to run briefly through the agenda that you see on your screen. We'll do the welcome and introductions, which I've just gone through. You'll hear about a survey that ARC has recently done on this topic that we're talking about today. Key survey findings will be covered, 5 best practices to purchase and evaluate technology. That'll link into some productivity stats you can relate to, as well as case studies. We'll round into some do's and don'ts of buying technology for your facilities. There will be a brief demo, and then we'll get into Q&A, which is what I referenced before. So please do send those questions to us, and we'll get to as many as we can. So with that, we will move forward, and I'll hand it over to David. Hi, David.
Hi, Ann. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon. We're excited to share what we learned from 226 facilities leaders who completed our survey in September of 2018 and managed large, medium, and small teams. The main objective of the survey was to identify the keys to success for buying facilities technology, the things that you use every day to make your life better and your work life easier. To level set our presentation today, we'd like to poll the audience and ask 2 questions that relate to what you'll hear today.
Yes,
Ann?
and yes, thank you, David. So yes, we see that on our screen right now. You should all see that. And the question we'd like to ask is, how many technology purchases have you been involved with in the past year for your facilities? So please select the most appropriate, 1 to 3 purchases in the past year, 4 to 6, 7 to 10, or none. And we will show the results shortly. Okay, so the results will pop up on your screen in just a moment. And thank you, everyone who voted. Let's see, 54%, just over a half, 1 to 3 technology purchases in the past year, followed by none by a third of our audience, 4 to 6, 10%, and 7 to 10 purchases, 5%. So thank you for that. And we just want to pop up another poll before we move forward, and that is going to ask you about your biggest challenges. And so what are your biggest challenges when it comes to purchasing technology? And please check all that apply. You can select 1 or more. And those choices, as you can see, our product was too hard to use, you didn't have the budget approver didn't see the value, it lacked a mobile app, or was rejected by your IT department. Again, please put in your experiences there, and we will showcase that once again. And then we'll move on into the presentation. So we have, let's see, the majority answer was, here it comes. Okay, so 56%, again, a little over half, didn't have the budget. Followed closely, 49% budget approver, didn't see the value. 28% product was too hard to use, as well as rejected by IT. and like a mobile app was 7% as the biggest challenge. So thank you again, everyone, for giving us that insight. And we'll hand it back over to David and Todd. Gentlemen?
Great. Okay. Neil, I'm not seeing the slide deck.
You see it there, David? We have about the
No,
survey
I'm
back
seeing
up
that.
there.
There we go. There we go. Okay.
Okay. Thanks,
Let's go to
everyone,
the
for your
next one
patience.
here.
And I'll hand it over to you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Great. Okay. So Neil, next slide. Okay. So again, thank you so much for that, Ann. And the survey results were interesting because what your answers were mirrored some of the things that we're seeing too in the survey. Looking at these numbers that you see, it's clear that the use of technology is not only here to stay, but the use in value is expected to only increase, according to the 229 facilities leaders who responded to the 2018 survey. Respondents were nearly unanimous in their belief that the use of technology will be even more important to their team's success over the next 5 years. So think about the technologies you're using now, and think about where you were even 5 years ago, how your life's improved. And stop and think about why you want to buy technology. Is it because you're under pressure to be more productive, provide higher levels of customer service, reduce costs? Most likely it's all three. Well, technology is a key ingredient in enabling performing teams, high-performing teams. Next slide, Neil.
So thanks, David. Appreciate those insights. So, really, as you look at this slide, as you could see, there's a range in the volume of tech products purchased by facilities teams on an annual basis, and I think we've seen a little bit of that in the poll and the survey that we just did. Neil? So, not surprisingly, larger teams are buying the most technology solutions. Almost, almost two times, over what small teams are buying. With a smaller gap between the large and the medium-sized teams. Again, why is that? How is that number skewed? Is it budget? Is it IT? Is it need? Is it efficiency savings? We're going to look a little bit during this webinar, really what's driving some of these events. Neil? And really starting to build the case for success, we ask another exploratory question. How much does budget matter? It turns out that the lack of budget was definitely not a reason why some teams purchased more or fewer technology products. Large and small teams alike with many purchases or less all face some level of budgetary approval. Again, when you're looking at this slide, it's too expensive versus no budget. No budget is one thing. And again, regardless of looking at the large teams, medium teams, or small teams, you can see that that's all hovered around 28%. But one of the number one items was it's too expensive. So again, as we're looking at something that's too expensive, and once again, a very tight grouping there, 57, 58% of the respondents said, that this technology was too expensive. So, was it too expensive looking at the product or the solution only? Or did the folks involved with the purchase not really see the productivity or the efficiency that was involved? Neil? So if it's not the budget, then what is it? Can you relate to some of these reasons that technology purchases didn't get approved? Again, the product was too hard to use. The budget approver didn't see the value. And again, I just, referenced that. Rejected by IT. And again, when you look at technology purchases anymore, IT almost always has to be, or have a seat at the table to help with that. They weren't able to pilot it. It was an all or nothing decision. And let's face it, in today's world, unless it has a mobile app or it's really built mobile first, it's going to be difficult to be able to move forward with that. David, can you handle the next slides?
I can. So while facilities leaders are single-minded about the value of using technology, there's a wide gap between teams that succeed in leveraging technology and those who are only buying one tech solution or less per year. So think about that. How many solutions do you have, and how often are you buying it? Well, it raises the question that became the focal point of the most recent survey. Why do facilities teams succeed in leveraging technology while others don't? Well, one of the questions that I always ask is, what is your relationship with IT? As a facilities director, as a facilities manager, what's your relationship with IT? What's your relationship with the decision makers? How are you putting that best foot forward to explain why a tool can help you be more efficient? We're all in customer service. I look at facilities teams as a customer service. We're all there to service the people who are part of our buildings, whether it's the staff, whether it's visitors, we're all in customer service. So being able to react faster, if I can provide those types of use cases, then that's a win. But also think about the IT, from the IT standpoint, if you can bring something to the table that might also help some other initiatives that IT has that you don't even know about. If you're bringing something to the table that can also check a few other boxes off of the IT manager's list, that's also a win and helps you build that relationship. Next slide, please. So when analyzing the survey responses, 5 success factors for buying technology stood out as the foundational for the facilities team compared to those currently falling behind in their adoption of technology. So one, let's walk through these, but one was ease of use. If a software or any technology isn't easy, they're not going to use it. And you can see it, 63% of the folks that responded said that was number one. Number 2 was a pilot. Like Todd said just a few minutes ago, a solution shouldn't necessarily be an all or nothing thing. Start with a pilot. Start with one building. Start with a pilot program to make sure you work out all the bugs on that one and then move forward. 3 was IT. Get IT involved. You don't know all the initiatives necessarily that IT has. Think about it. IT touches every department. So a software solution or any tech solution could possibly check off again some of those boxes that IT has. Also, mobile. We're in a mobile world now. Okay, 10 years ago, we weren't necessarily saying the mobile phones weren't what they are today. So when Todd and I teach education sessions at conferences, one of the first questions we ask is, everybody raise your phone if you've got a smartphone. Okay, raise your phone in the air. Everybody raises their hand. I bet you're not going to think of too many people off the top of your head. If anything, it's going to be a handful on one hand that don't have a smartphone. Everybody has a smartphone. So it has to be mobile enabled as well. But then also budget. So getting the budget approver involved early is huge. And think about that. It's when you're purchasing something, to be able to check off some things. You're going to that budget approver and letting them know that, listen, I'm going to be able to get more done. You're going to get more productivity out of my team. You're going to get more of our work orders done, which means we're going to react faster. We're also going to be able to react faster when we have something bad happen. So we've got a pipe burst, or we've got something coming up where I've got all of my stuff from my buildings on my phone, whether I get that call at noon or I get that call at 1 o'clock in the morning. All of my stuff is on my phone, all mobile enabled. Next slide. Okay, so the research validated that when facilities teams of all sizes use these 5 success factors, they will have far more success with purchasing technology. Well, ask yourself that. Do you agree or disagree with that? Next slide. Todd, why don't you take it from there?
Absolutely. Thanks, Dave. And again, once again, very, very valid points. When you're looking at, when customers look at, what are the top 2 reasons that they purchase facilities technologies, take a look at them. It involves, or improves our team productivity. 82% of large teams say it improves productivity. 78% of small teams says it improves productivity. And what's number two? The product improves our customer service. So once again, a very tight grouping once again, you know, an average there of 65% of the team says yes, you know, by having, you know, technology, by having facilities technology, it will improve our productivity and customer service. So once again, it's not terribly surprising to see, you know, that why these ranked as, you know, as the way they are. You know, these are things that are needed in the facilities industry today. You know, each of these reasons have the potential to elevate, you know, the value provided to buildings, owners and organizations by facilities teams. Neil? So some of the, you know, some of the research that we've done and some of the data points that we've gathered, again, you could see on this chart, you know, but we've, you know, what we're seeing is, you know, it can allow you to complete as much as 30% more work orders. Think about that. 30% more work orders, you know, when a facilities team has adopted a mobile technology. You know, when you see how much time is spent searching for documents, it becomes even more clear how productivity can be increased significantly when facilities techs can simply point and click to find the information that they need. Neil? So you know, we've taken a look at two case studies, and you know, really the first ones here is the Florida Wesley Chapel case study. And you know, as we've analyzed this and looked at that and you know, talked to the folks that are involved, you know, we see really three key takeaways. And those takeaways are, you know, saving time, takeaways are starting quickly, takeaways are serving customers. So, you know, once again, you know, as you know, hospitals, you know, must meet strict compliance requirements and demonstrate to the Joint Commission auditors that they're conducting routine and preventive maintenance. They have systems in place to respond instantly to emergencies and other stringent requirements. So what we've seen is that John Crouch and his team at the Florida Hospital Wesley Chapel, you know, extremely pleased now that they have a system like that in place, you know, to really provide them with the day-to-day knowledge and information that they need, whether that's in preventive maintenance, whether it's in break fix, whether it's an emergency situation, or whether it's a Joint Commission audit. You know, saving time, again, we've referenced this prior, you know, how much time does it take? You know, we've developed the data point, we've seen the data point prove itself out, you know, that a facilities team is able to get 30% more work orders done, you know, on a daily basis, saving time, starting quickly. When new employees are onboarded, you know, how are they trained? What is the expectation for training? Is it 6 months? Is it 9 months? Is it a year? You know, by using something mobile and something so well organized, it makes that startup process so much, you know, so much easier. I mean, almost from day one, you know, those technicians are going to have access to everything that they need, you know, to be successful. And then last of all, you know, serving customers. So in the case of a hospital, who's the customers? It's the doctors, it's the nurses. Most importantly, it's the patients, you know, and providing, you know, a safe and a comfortable area that they can be in. So, you know, once again, just to regroup, just to review one more time, you know, we can now, from Florida Hospital, we can increase the number of work orders that we can do each day. We can be better able to stay on top of preventive maintenance. We can improve response time and emergency prep, and overall lower the cost of new employee onboarding. All very important aspects when Wesley Chapel steps back and takes a look at what we've done for them so far. Neil?
Yeah, Todd, and to add to what you're saying there too, there's a real cost, especially from the hospital perspective, there's a real cost associated with something being down. In the hospital instance, it can be lives, but more importantly, not more importantly, but equally important for a hospital is, think about that. If I can't use part of my hospital, that's lost revenue as well. So outside of the hospital world too, it's, think about if you're in a manufacturing standpoint, or you're in any other industry where you're down. Every minute that you're down is money. Every minute that you're down is a liability. So getting everything back up and running fast and being able to make intelligent decisions by getting that phone call at 10 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night. Being able to react and pull that stuff up on my phone, whatever it is, to do my job, get that 30% more work orders done is huge.
Yep, very good point. Very good point. So for the next case study, I'd like to look at Orange County, Florida government. So again, located in Orlando, Florida, this facilities team is responsible for over 400 buildings spread across 5 maintenance districts and 1,000 square miles. So having quick and easy access to the information had an exponential position on really what their productivity can be. So, once again, asking Rich Steiger, what mattered to his team and what key takeaways he was able to pull out. No surprise, mobility. So why mobility in this case? Well, we just reviewed, they've got 400 buildings. They cover just a huge geographic area. So, at any time, at any place, at anywhere, they're able to find the information that they need to do their job. Whether it's break fix, whether it's emergency response, everything is right there. Sharing the information, again, another theme that we continue to see here, everybody has access to that same information. Everybody is able to make decisions from that information. And once again, reduces training time for new technicians, thus allowing them to become, more productive. And then last of all, point and click. So we've not really talked about this a whole lot, but from a point and click environment, are we looking at endless folders and endless subfolders and endless files, which may or may not be organized well or organized the way that I thought it should be organized or the way that Dave thought it should be organized? In this case, we're looking at basic home pages, and home pages are laid out very, very basically. So again, when we're talking about a point and click environment, that's exactly what it is we're doing. So once again, reviewing the key takeaways that Rich Steiger and his team had was they've got all the building information they need at all times on their mobile devices. And let's face it, like Dave said, look at the number of people who carry smartphones. And what's always kind of a little bit more amazing to me, look at the number of people who carry 2 smartphones or sometimes 3 smartphones. And I see it quite often. We're reducing employee onboarding time. So, once again, if you look at an organization like we have at Orange County, Orange County is huge. There's a lot of people working there, which means there's a lot of churn, of new people coming in. How are those people going to be trained, and how is that training period or downtime potentially going to hurt them? With a solution, for technology for the facilities world, it makes that very, very quickly. And once again, then improved customer service is going to make the organization operate just so much more efficiently. Dave?
And may I jump in quickly? I'm sorry, gentlemen. This is Ann Cosgrove. I had a question actually from one of the attendees, and I thought, well, before you move forward, it might help to reframe it. Or to revisit it. And it was about the team sizes of the facilities teams that your survey this past fall had focused on. You had mentioned three team sizes and how the answers came in perhaps a little differently and perhaps the same in some spaces. So I just wanted to reiterate what those team sizes were: small, medium, and large in the survey. I see it was less than 10 for the small teams, 10 to 25 people on the medium teams, and more than 25 people for the large teams. Is that correct? I just wanted to reiterate that to let you know that that was kind of a nice, interesting point of reference as you move forward, for our attendees.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly right. That's what the survey responses were, and again, it was kind of the survey, at least. We had more respondents from a large team perspective. 53% of the respondents were from larger teams, 19% from medium teams, 28% from small teams. But once again, I think gave us a really good cross section of this data.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much.
Yeah. All right, next slide, Neil. So before we go to a demo, let's review the best practices for achieving success with purchasing technology, as well as what to avoid. Some of them are obvious. Some of them are just going to be no-brainers for you. But consider this a checklist to ensure you are doing everything possible to get those technology purchases approved quickly. So look at our list here. So you've got your do's. Show the product provides one or more of the following benefits: improves team productivity and customer service, reduces costs, okay, improves emergency preparedness and compliance audit readiness. Think about that. Am I ready when that auditor walks in or that fire marshal walks in? Can I access everything they're going to need right now? Reduces legal or financial risk. Also, make sure the product is easy to use. I can't tell you how many times I hear this in the field. If it's not easy, my guys and gals aren't going to use it. It has to be easy. So again, make sure it's easy to use. Make sure it's a strong mobile app. Make sure that you can access this on any device, any mobile device. Do a pilot. Pick a building. If it's an all or nothing approach, you might want to think twice about that. Do a pilot. Pick a building. Start there. Involve the budget approver in the evaluation. Get as many people in the room who need to look at this, including IT here. Get them involved early, okay? Get ahead of that. Build that relationship of, listen, this is a tool in my toolbox that I need to do my job better, faster, get that 30% more work orders done, and to get references for other companies using the solution. If a company can't provide references, you might want to think about that. And it could be inside your industry or outside your industry, but at the same time, users, actual users, okay? The don'ts here is it's hard to use. Why would you buy something that's hard to use? And it also lacks an excellent mobile app. Think about that. If they don't have a mobile, you have a mobile phone in your pocket. I have two in my pocket, to Todd's point, okay? And they're usually attached to my face, my head. I'm always on my phone. You have to be able to access it on your phone. If they don't offer a pilot or integrate with other systems, think about it. Do they link to other things, or can they connect to other systems you're currently using? Open API. Can they do that? If they can't, that's a challenge. And also lacks customer service and support. If they're not going to back you up, help with that training, then you're reliant on your internal staff to be able to do it all. That's not a good solution for you. All right, let's jump over to the demo, Neil. I'm going to share. Okay. Okay, Neil, are you able to, or Ann, are you able to see my screen?
I do now. I see your iPad, David.
Okay, great. All right, well, let's look at it this way. So you're seeing my iPad right now. Well,
Yes.
Think about this as a solution for what a mobile solution could look like for your building or your campus. So you've got all of my information for my buildings or my campus right here. So you've got a campus map. Well, I want to see information on building 4. I'm going to click on building 4 here, and I see all the information just for building 4, not all the other buildings, building 4. Well, this has got all my as-built, all my drawings for my buildings. It's also got my equipment, shutoffs, compliance, and emergency for this building. Think about that. Think about all the ways that this could benefit you and your space and your buildings right now. Everything's in one spot, all on my phone, all on my tablet right now. So let's go to our as-built list. These are all the drawings for all the projects that have ever happened in my building. So I've got all of these going back to 1953 in this case. But I want to look at one drawing or one set of drawings. I'm going to click on this top one here, and it goes to the index for all the drawings in that set.
Excuse me, David. I don't seem to see your as-built. I don't know if the other attendees are seeing it.
Is there a delay?
Yeah, I see your there we go. Okay, building 4. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I see building 4 now. Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to drill down here and click on a plan set, and I go right to that plan. That fast. And every detail call out, I click on a detail, and it will take me right to the detail. Everything. I'm clicking on this on my phone or on my tablet in the field. I never go back to a plan room again. It's all right here. Let's take a step back here. Now, here's the challenge, though. What drawing sets touch the room that you're in right now? Okay? This is a list of all the projects that have ever happened in my building. Well, that doesn't tell me what drawings touch the room you're sitting in right now. So what happens? I have to call John or I have to call Betty because they've been with my organization for 20 years and they know what has happened in that room over 20 years. Well, here's the problem. John's on vacation. John just retired. Now what? What this means here is now I've got to click through each drawing set and try and figure out which ones touch that room. Well, that's a problem. That's a time suck. It absolutely just sucks up part of your day. I can't tell you how many times I talk to customers or talk to people out in the field at trade shows, and they'll tell us, "Oh my gosh, this would have saved me 4 hours this week," and I'm the facilities director. Or this would have saved my team half a day because we still couldn't find the drawings. Okay? Ask yourself that. Well, let's take a step back here. Now we've got this as-built conform sets button here. Let me click on that. And let's look at the first floor. It's level 1. What the system does is it takes all those drawings that were in that list and it now links them and does overlays and shows you where they touched. I'm not having to dig through stuff to try and figure out where those drawing sets are. So let me give you an example here. I've got something going on in room. Yes, ma'am.
David, I think we're lagging. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure we're all on the right page. I have the building floor. There we go. Floor plan level 1
okay.
PDF. We're all seeing now.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay. So you're looking at room 1342 here. Okay. Well, what drawing sets touch that room? If I look at that list back there, I'm gonna have to scroll through every single one of those and open up every single one of those projects and figure out which ones touch that room. Well, now I can see there's 2 sets of drawings, not the ones on the far left here, but there's one from 1989. There's another one from 2000 up here. These are the ones that touch that room. Out of all that list, there are only 2 sets of drawings that touch that room. Well, I'm going to start at the newest and work my way back. Let's click on this 2000, and there it is.
Oh,
I never have to dig through all those.
Oh, there it is.
Yep, we're having a little bit of delay. There we go.
Check.
Okay. So again, all of those drawing sets are all right there. I can get to what drawings I need right now, and it's fast. I'm doing this from my phone. I'm doing this from my tablet. I'm never going back to a plan room. I'm never trying to call John or call Betty or call anybody. I can do this if I'm the new guy who's been on the job for 6 months, or I'm the guy or gal who's been on the job for 20 years. Everybody's looking at the same stuff. Everybody's got access to it. Well, think about this from the standpoint of equipment. Let's click on our equipment button here. And imagine this. Every piece of equipment in my building, floor to floor, is now here. So let's click on our HVAC button here. Okay. So now you've got all your HVAC units here, and they're all called out with the little tags or the little pins on the map here. And now you've got access to all of the information associated with that particular pin. So if I want to look for the HVAC units, I can click on and drill down here. I know there's a little bit of a lag, so I'm going to slow down here. And I can click on any of these units that are on this map. I click on this pin, and now this pin, you're going to see a steam boiler open up here in just a second.
There it is.
Okay. Now, and now you've got the O&M manual, warranties, maintenance log, training videos. You're also going to be able to do an FM schedule to this. Think about the dots on that map as a hook, okay? It's a pin. So I can pin anything to that hook. I could pin all my maintenance logs. I could pin any kind of an audit report. I could pin any kind of a survey testing. Anything I need can be attached to that space or that individual piece of equipment. Anything can be pinned to that. And now your team can access that in the field. They can add stuff to it, but you've got access to this right now. I never have to go dig for an O&M manual. I never have to dig for anything. It's all right here at my fingertips on my phone. Remember, everybody's got a smartphone. And I haven't touched a keyboard once. I'm pushing buttons here. It's all right here on my phone. Let's go
David,
back here.
I just want to jump in for 1 minute while you're going back. We have a question about, you're showing this equipment example and the floor plan example as well. So the question that's come in is a natural one, I suppose, is how does all my building information get into this type of platform? Can you just give a quick kind of overview of how that would all be in place?
Most definitely. Yeah. So our system, actually, we do all the legwork. Okay. We'll come and pick up all the stuff. So we pick up the paper, we pick up the digital, and it's all done for you. It's all ingested into the system. The system then populates it. The system links all the information together, but then it's backed up by our pro services team that comes out and shoots the photos. We do site walks. We go out and shoot the photos. We map out where all that information lives. We map out where all the equipment is. And then we do all that layering of the plans that I showed. So you can see where those drawings touched. All of that's done. And on top of that, updates are included. So think about all the future projects you've got. So wouldn't it be awfully nice to be able to hand this to your architect, to hand this to your general contractor or your subs, and now they can see the entire historical record of my building. So they're not just getting the last 10 years worth of drawings, they're getting it all. And they can access that information, and they can pull up all the stuff that's happened in that section of the building that they're getting ready to go work on. And they're not going to miss that, because I only have the drawings going back from 10 years that were digital, I can now see it all. And I can see that there's pipes behind that wall or between that drywall, and I can see there's a pipe there. So I'm going to budget for that instead of it being a change order when I discover it during construction. So again, all that legwork, to your point, Ann, is all done by us through our system anyway.
Okay, thanks. And I'm going to follow up with another question that's just come in along those lines, and then I'll let you get back. On whose server is the data for this system? Where does it reside? Is it on the ARC server, client server? Can you answer that?
So two ways. One, it's in AWS, so Amazon Web Services. Okay, it's got mobile apps and everything that are supported thereof. But then you also have a synced folder where you can have a local copy. That can be on your share drive. That can be on your desktop. You have the two different options there too. You always will have a backup local copy as well.
Okay. And I want to just kind of take a view back, and then I'll let you get back. It's just another question that's come up.
Sure.
I'm looking now at the building for Valley Medical image, and it has the as-built equipment, shutoffs, compliance, emergency. So I just want to share with the audience the scope of this application that you're talking about, because you've talked about equipment specifically and floor plans, and there's also an emergency component to it as well. I just want to make that clear.
There is, and I'm going to touch on these. Ours is modular based, so it's really what is the need? Is it the drawings, or is it equipment, or is it compliance, or is it emergency? I know we're running up against our clock here too, but I'm going to click on the emergency here, and this is all the emergency information for this particular building as well. So as you can see here, you've got all the information. Oh, hang on one second, a little lag.
There it is, we got it.
Okay, so you've got all the emergency information for this building. So you've got your overall emergency plan, safe refuge areas, shutoffs, floor plans, SES, asbestos. All of this information, including emergency equipment and emergency contacts, is site specific. So you've got all the information. So I'm going to click on my shutoffs here, and I'm going to click on level 1, so first floor. Okay, let me know when that's up, Ann.
It is up.
Okay.
I have the shutoff log sheet. The shutoff log sheet. There you go.
Yep. This maps out every shutoff, and this is part of what we do when we do the site walk. Is I can zoom in here and see this water shutoff. Click on it, and it's a photo and even instructions how to shut it off. Think about that. Think about the last time you had something break in your building. You had a pipe burst. We hear this all the time. It's water, it's electrical, it's gas. Doesn't matter. Everything is right here, and now I can share this out with my team, and I can also share this out with my security folks. I can share this out with first responders who are rolling up to my building. I can share this so that it mitigates the damage. It limits the amount of damage, because we all know the longer water runs, the more damage it causes. So think about that. If everybody could open this up and see all the information associated with my building. Let's go back here. Okay. Let's go to our emergency equipment here. Just like the equipment module, this is all the emergency specific equipment. Okay, so think about your security. Think about all the equipment for emergencies. My fire extinguishers, locks, security cameras, all of this information, call boxes, all of it's right here. And you'll be able to, I've got extinguishers open here, and I'm going to zoom in on this map, and you see all these little fire extinguisher icons. You can click on a fire extinguisher, and it will open up a photo of that extinguisher, the tags there, training videos, everything's right there. Let's hit my back button here, and even security cameras. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on a camera here. And I can click on a camera, and it will open up a live feed of that camera. Okay, any network device. I'm working with multiple customers, and the only thing that they can open these cameras from any networked device. That can either be logged in through a VPN or a networked device. All of it's right there. So now you can access that wherever the heck you are. So again, what we're talking about here from the 30,000 foot view is all of my information for my building to do my job today, to get 30% more work orders done today, is right here on my phone, right here on my tablet. I also have access to it on my desktop computer. It's all right here, all in one spot. So having access to that just makes my life easier, makes my job easier, makes me be able to respond faster to requests from clients, from customers, from my staff, being able to make my life better, make my team's life better when they're out there. I show this to facilities teams. I show this to facilities directors, and their jaw hits the floor. This is what you can do today. So Neil, I'm going to stop sharing here, and let's go to some questions.
Okay, thank you. So I am going to jump back in. We have some more questions as we've been moving along. I'm going to piggyback on the question about the kind of implementing the system that you just showed us from ARC, and that implementing the system, how do we upload all the facility data? So the question that piggybacked on that was, how is this updated and maintained? So can you talk a little bit about once you have a client that's using the system, what are some of the ways that they update and maintain? So you can give a few examples or kind of insights there into those steps. So that they're always
Yeah, this is Todd. I'll actually address that. So really two ways. The first way is when you really look at the simplicity of the solution is largely automated and will take care, really of a lot of the renaming, a lot of the indexing, a lot of the linking, a lot of the bits and pieces, if you will, of the system, and allows the customer, to be able to upload, data and keep data updated as they go. Again, is that the best strategy? Again, for the quick changes, for the improvements, for the renovations that are just a couple of pages, may not be a bad idea. But, for the larger improvements, for the larger renovations that have been done, for the new construction that's just being turned over, that's something that ARC can take care of as well. So as the client can push us that information, ARC in the background can take care of adding everything, linking everything in there. As Dave mentioned, our platform resides on the Amazon cloud, and one of the benefits of the Amazon cloud is not everybody has to refresh or delete the collection and reinstall the collection. So, after changes are made, essentially those changes are automatically pushed down to the devices of the users. So, I can come into the office tomorrow, I can click on my project and aha, now automatically, I've got my newest renovation or my newest building on my homepage ready for me to use.
Thank you. So I have a question right on talking about the building information. Someone asked, what should we do if we don't have floor plans for our buildings? I'm sure you've run into that where maybe some documents are missing and things like that. Have you run into that with clients? And
absolutely, absolutely. So oftentimes we'll look at newer buildings, and again with newer buildings, the benefit is normally you've got all of that building information already, but how much is that information really going to be used if it's a brand new building? It will be used, probably not as much as an existing building. With older buildings, what we're trying to do in part, is give the client an idea of what they have and what they don't have. We've had extreme cases where clients have come to us and said, listen, we love the idea here, but we have absolutely nothing but maybe a hand drawing or something like that. So really it can be, a very, very complete, PDF set of information. It can be a very incomplete set of information, in which case, we'll scan what we have and provide, reports back to the clients on what we have and what we don't have, to help them, either, maybe sometimes hand draw floor plans. Maybe we can do without that information. Other times, clients can go through the 3D laser scanning process to on the other hand get at a set of very up to date, very current PDF files. So again, a lot of different strategies to deal with something like that.
Okay. Thank you. And then asking about the offering overall. Is the software primarily to house information, or is it also capable of generating work orders and tracking tickets and things like that?
Sure. So at this point, no, we are not a work order system. We are not a CMMS system. We're really a facility solution as far as drawing equipment, emergency, and compliance information. Having a central location, if you will, to keep all of that information. Again, in that solution, it makes all of that information intelligent, and then we present it in the form of a homepage to make it very easily accessible really to the entire contingent of facilities technicians or others in that particular facility.
Thank you. And also, we had a question here. We talked about, again, equipment and then also the emergency compliance that David mentioned after I had asked him about it as well. So is it the attendee wants to ask, can I only get, can you buy only the equipment portion, the offering, or only the emergency related offering? I guess, is it scalable is the question. Can you pick and choose what you need? You mentioned pilot programs. So can you talk about maybe if someone was interested in this capability, how might they move out if they don't necessarily want to do organization wide right off the bat?
Sure, and that's actually a very good strategy and one that we will often advocate. Again, I think David had mentioned what makes the most sense. What in that particular building are you struggling with? We have, for example, up in New England for a school district in Connecticut, done nothing but emergency life safety. Again, that was their big need, so we were able to solve that need. In fact, even today, the facilities director, always carries his iPad around very proudly and says, I used to have 4 or 5, big 3-inch 3-ring binders that I had to keep in the back of my car, keep with me all the time. Now it's just an iPad that I carry. So again, wherever the client sees the most value, wherever they need the most help, is how we can certainly deploy a pilot program. Sometime it may be, just one module. It may be just buildings. It may be just emergency life safety. Other times it may be a combination of different modules. So again, the way we do it, everything is really modularized, as Dave had mentioned. And oftentimes, we will recommend just starting with the first couple of buildings, because again, it really allows then that team to get a feel for their buildings. And really what almost always happens is, once they look at their information, it's one thing to look at our information, but once their information is in the system, then they can really derive other value and other efficiencies they can gather from it.
Okay, thank you. So we also had some questions about, kind of touches on the 5 success factors for buying technology that you had gleaned from the survey. And to reiterate, those were the 5 success factors where the product was easy to use. We did a pilot of a product first. IT was involved in evaluating and improving the decision, which is what I'm going to go back to. And product included a mobile app. Budget approval was involved in technology evaluation. So with the IT being involved, since this is a technology offering, and facilities people certainly have had to work with IT more and more over the past decade or so. So the question is, haven't had much luck getting the attention of IT, or at least, making headway with working with them, getting their attention to our facilities technology requests. Any ideas on how to, talk to them, quote unquote, speak their language, or make them understand the facilities, needs? What have you seen in the field that's really maybe been able to propel some of these implementations going forward?
Sure. Maybe a couple of things that I can offer there. What we see is normally in our first meetings, and when we're sitting down with the facilities director, maybe a few of their technicians, maybe even the budget approver, is having IT, at the seat around the table as well. We found by involving IT early, it will oftentimes, help speed up the process or help gain their interest. As we look at the differences between what I'll call products and solutions. If I was going to buy a piece of software, a lot of times the assumption is by IT, oh no, now I've got to develop an install strategy and maintenance strategy for that. Who's going to maintain it? Who's going to load it in each one of the PCs? How are we going to update everything? We're looking to add a fairly big workload, to their plate. But because our solution is cloud-based, technically, there is not a whole lot for IT to be involved with. So oftentimes, honestly, when we've seen IT or when we've presented the concept to IT about the solution that's cloud-based and there's really not a lot on their end that they need to do, they're actually pretty excited by that. And once again, we're finding a lot of our stronger proponents are IT based. They see the shortcomings in the softwares that are being used. They see the shortcomings in the other pieces that are being used. And we're coming to present an alternative that is cloud based and doesn't require a lot of their daily interaction, to be successful and to work. So once again, as I mentioned, having IT in early meetings, sitting around the table discussing, very beneficial. Really having them understand that it's really not a software that we're talking about; it's more of a cloud solution that we're talking about. Both of those strategies we've seen a lot of benefit from.
Thank you. So we have time for one more question before we close it out, and I want to thank everyone for their questions, and Dave and Todd for addressing as many as we've gotten to. Let's see. So we'll talk about. You touched on this a little bit in terms of how it might be purchased and how to apply it to the concerns that a facility may be having to their specific needs. But I wanted to talk about pilot programs as an example, and that was one of the success factors that you had identified. So can you talk just a little bit about to revisit the pilot idea, so to speak, in terms of maybe an example or two of pilots you've seen that have been successful, or just ways that maybe someone wanted to dip their toe in and then they realized, hey, for better or worse, a lesson learned, hey, let's go this direction, and that kind of thing, or
Todd,
hey, that's what we wanted. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because this is a challenge too, is when people are thinking about, what building to choose, it can be all over the place, but where we've seen the most success, or a lot of the success, is especially buildings that you've got future projects coming up. Okay, to have that historical record of all the stuff that's happened on my building saves a lot of headache when they're doing construction projects. The other thing too is, you know, newer buildings don't have a lot going on. I mean, the equipment's new. You can start there because it's typically all digital, but pick some problem buildings. Pick a building that's a pain in the behind and start there, and let's fix that one to start.
Makes sense. That definitely makes sense, because then you have the most room for improvement, maybe, right?
Exactly. There's bigger upside.
Right. Wonderful. Okay. Good. All right. Well, I want to thank you for your presentation. It looks like we're out of time. So, Dave and Todd, thank you so much. Really appreciated hearing from you today, and I want to thank our attendees as well. And now we will have the presentation available to you. A recording of the webinar will be available online at facilityexecutive.com. It'll also be on the ARC website, and that's e-arc.com. Thank you very much.